Hello everyone, welcome to the part 2 of this series from fastapi to generative AI. In part 1, you have seen we have created a business table which contains 10 Chinese cuisines and with absolutely bullshit text that just to demonstrate that everything is for real. Right? It's not from the knowledge of large language models itself. And we demonstrate that without vector databases, we can still use LLMs to answer the questions just based on the information from a traditional data table. So it works, right? But it will come with two problems, right? Once your data gets bigger, so every query you make it to the API, it becomes more expensive because you are basically putting all the contents into your LLMs, right? It's expensive. And second, when your data table is getting very big, so it will actually exceed the limitation of any large language model APIs, so that you cannot run your AI application. And that's why the vector database comes into play, right? You have all heard of vector database. And there is a very important tool for you to manage the data from your business table to your vector table. And this tool is called pgai. So pgai powers your RAG and agentic applications and all this bullshit. It's actually very simple. Pgai is a database operation tool that helps you to manage your data from your business database to the data in your vector database. That's what pgai does. And let me show you how that works. So for this purpose, we need to generate, we need to add two more services. One is a dedicated container called db vector, and the other is the pgai vectorized worker service. So after you run this Docker, you will see, so we have 4 container services here. One is business database, one is a business app, and the 2 new ones are a vector database and the vectorized workers. So this workers actually do all the dirty job to synchronize data. And after you run that, the following is very simple. You just need to create tables, right? This video is all about database. So first, you need to create what I call content table. So you can use the script here to create content table. Content table created successfully. Let's have a look at this content table, which is in the vector database. Yeah, of course, you can also create this content table in your business database, but for consistency, I would think it would be better to create it in the vector database because it is used to create the vector table later. So when we refresh it, you will see we create this one with 3 columns, ID, metadata, and the columns. And why we design table with these 3 columns is because later we will be using a package that actually it hard-coded something like this. So it hard-coded the column names like metadata and the contents for your semantic search. And for this reason, we also just use those column names in this case. So the purpose of this content table as a middle step is that you can put everything you need for embedding from your business table to the contents column here. And let's do that. So you can migrate everything you need from your business table to the contents column here. You see here all the column information from the business table is now just in one column here in the content table. And then the final step is the key of this video, is the most important meat of this video, is that we use pgai to create our final product, which is the vector table. So here we use some pgai SQL here. As I said, pgai is just a database operation tool. It uses SQL. It will be easier to use SQL. So you need to install some extension, especially this AI extension. Then you just execute a SQL to create the table. So you define your source table, which is our content table, and you're loading the content from this column. So we call it contents, and you for embeddings, right? And then you specify your embedding method. Here we use OpenAI. Of course, you can also use Olama for private purposes. And finally, we define our destination table, which we will call it cuisine vector. And you can run it. You need to import this pgai package, and this pgai package, you run this install function to the database that you want to use pgai. So just these two simple commands. All the rest is just database comments, right? So let's run that, and you will find a new table called cuisine vector, which is empty for now. You see it adds nothing, right? This is a content table, and it just adding the embedding part, embedding ID, and the chunk that may happen to your embeddings. That's it. This is your vector table from the content table. Okay, now it's empty, and why it's empty is that the vectorized worker works with like a 5-minute each synchronization. Of course, you can force it by restarting the vector table container service. And after you do that, you will have your vector table ready. So you see here all the embeddings, and here all the contents. Yeah. Okay, that's all for this part 2. Now you have finally a vector table working, which we can later then use it for semantic search, which is a more efficient way for you to query and answer your user questions. We will see you in the next video, which will be part 3. Thank you.